America, taking on the winners from yesterday, Fnatic. Oh boy, this is going to be. On the match at hand, Vikings versus X10. And let's start things off, the conversation rather, with X10 ESPORTs, because Doug, you know, I feel like for this team coming out of the SEA region, the expectations are, you know, I wouldn't say like people have them winning the event, but it doesn't feel like they think that they're going to be walking away the winner of even this game. Do you think that that's possible? Do you think that X10 can walk away with this win today?
Look, I'm as much of a fan of a Cinderella story as the next person, but no, I don't think so. And it's interesting to see across the board, you look at analysts and you look at pundits, and they all kind of have X10 finishing in tied for last, really, in this entire event. So while they have a couple of really fun things to how they play loose, right? Like they play with almost nothing to lose, which can be really scary. In certain competitive settings, you've got Patafan and what he's capable of, which is I get like peak phase vibes when we see him play and kind of the way he goes around maps, but this is a hard one. I think expectations across the board are pretty low, and while that sets up for a really fun story if they pull off something insane, there's not a lot in that bank account.
Well, you did touch on it briefly there, Doug, and I kind of want to elaborate a little bit more. I mean, Patafan, this young star coming into this lineup, Tom, he could very well be the difference maker for this team.
Yeah, I almost think that he would have to be. Like when looking at like some of the statistics behind this roster, like they have 147 opening duels won, 70 of them, so almost half, taken by Patafan himself. Whew. And then you look over to like the win percentage in opening duels. He wins 64% of his opening duels in SEA. The rest of his team win 45% combined. So, like, there are some huge differences from what this kid is able to do with the setting up of his team and what will happen if someone manages to shut him down. And if Vikings do that, I'm sorry, they're out of the match. If they get rid of Patafan, they're done.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an uphill battle for this lineup, having to basically lift that boulder up the hill. But when you got Patafan there essentially lifting the boulder for you, who knows? Anything is possible. And this is going to be, Potter, a clash of play styles, though, as we take a look at their opponents on the other side, a very strong team that people have going all the way, some pundits say, in this competition, Vikings.
Yeah, truly the dark horse. I know Tom was mentioning that about Vikings having the potential to actually just steal this entire tournament away from everyone's nose. And we heard Sadak talking about it in that press conference, right? He's very used to the Brazilian style competing in the upper echelons. Their rounds end within 10 to 15 seconds, generally speaking. So there's been quite an adjustment for this Brazilian squad coming over to EU, looking and facing off against the NA slow style, the info denial, the info gathering, the default heavy base style that these teams kind of identify with. So Brazil, they've been adjusting, but I think their fast-paced, in-your-face aggression, it should bode well for them, right? Coming into this, it makes their opponents very uncomfortable, and I'm expecting Vikings to double down on that aggression and not play into this EU game here.
Yeah, I think almost following on from that a little bit, I'm also a big fan of Sadiki and the style of which he actually calls the matches. I think that they've got some really cool like mid-round rotations. I think Sudikaz as well is a big part of that, where they'll late lurk into sites. They'll have these like 20-30 second calls to switch things up completely, and it's really hard to read for other teams even within their region who play against them regularly. So for X10, they will have had to like dive really deep into those demos if they're going to have an opportunity to even sort of think at all of what the opponents are going to come up with today.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure the viewers will at home, but I'm pretty sure a few of the players on Vikings played in Paladins, and then you got Patafan playing in Overwatch, so you actually have a nice little, you know, Overwatch Paladins little rivalry going over here. But there's also another part to this as well, Doug, is that it does feel like, you know, some people are sleeping on the Brazilian region when they shouldn't, because it's very clear, especially after seeing what Sharks did yesterday, that this team's here to play some Valorant, and they're good.
Yeah, the Brazilian region's a lot of fun to watch, man. Nice that teams kind of have to respect, and it's hard to prepare for. The one thing I'll say about this region, you
can watch the games yesterday and go, well, Doug, what are you talking about? Sharks got rolled over. They just had one map, and maybe the Brazilian region's not as strong.
Yeah.
But you look at that region as a whole, and it's hard not to look at it and go, they're top heavy, right? Like there's a skill gap there, in my opinion, and it's a pretty vast expanse.
Okay, let's relax, Tom. Okay, let's just
All
calm
right,
it down for a moment, Poppy.
Calm down over there, okay?
I mean,
It seems like there's a pretty notable expanse between what happens between Vikings and Sharks. So you look at that and you go, well, there may not have been enough there from Sharks. How do we really respect what Vikings are going to do? But I personally have Vikings as like a top 3 finisher in this whole thing. I think they really can surprise a few folks. When we talk about a dark horse, the idea of somebody who can kind of fly under the radar and then show up at the finals and everyone kind of blinks and goes, what the heck just happened?
Yeah.
Vikings can be that. They are that in this tournament.
Yeah, you know, we just saw some shots there of Vikings. I'm not going to lie. You know, I'm watching the NBA playoffs, and I kind of we get the fashion for all the players as they walk out. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, Doug. We got the shirts.
So
now, you know, we want to hear from you guys at home. Obviously, none of this is possible without you amazing viewers that are watching this one. So be sure to join in on the conversation and the fun using the hashtag Verizon5G Ball Chat. And we will feature your tweets throughout today's broadcast. We actually polled our fans on @Valorant Esports, which follow it, and also follow all the other regions too if you haven't had a chance to do so yet. And everyone believes that Vikings will win this matchup today. But as always, one of my favorite segments, because I don't have to do anything here. I'm just going to let the analysts make their predictions. So Potter, we're going to start with you. We'll go down the line. Who do you think is going to walk away with the win here today? Do you agree with Twitter?
త్రో చేసేసారు అనమాట త్రో అంటే త్రో అయిపోయింది ఆటోమేటిక్ అట్లా
I'm going in. I think Vikings should be able to take this one. Again, I'm looking for them to double down, show that aggression, and really dominate, set the pace, set the tone for this entire tournament for themselves. And for X10, although my expectations are low, I am hopeful that they make this one somewhat
11
competitive.
kills.
Yeah, so it seems like, Doug, the general consensus is that Vikings, they're looking very strong going into this competition.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think Tom is onto something on Patafan, and like how on is he? And there's a pretty direct correlation between his performance and the team's performance as a whole. That said, I'm expecting a pretty clean 2-0. I think this actually has the potential to get a little ugly, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, it could. It very well could. But Tom, I have a feeling I know where you're going to go, but I want you to give me just a soft pitch for how X10 could potentially walk away. I'm going to put you on the hot seat since you decided to put all of us NA people on the hot seat. Why don't you go ahead? How does X10 potentially walk away with this? Soft pitch for how X10 could potentially walk away. I'm going to put you on the hot seat since you decided to put all of us NA people on the hot seat. Why don't you go ahead? How does X10 potentially walk away with this one?
Well, I think firstly the combination of Padifan and a few other players, like for example, you could put Scary in the mix as well, and his Astra, I think is going to have to do quite a lot for setting him up. Unfortunately, like if I was predicting in their direction, I might have made a pun about being a Patif fan. But I've heard on the other side, as a sassy board man myself, that there is a sassy board man on Vikings. So I've got to go for him, the man himself, who I think has just been spamming everybody with bold pictures all over the place. So yeah, I think Vikings are going to take this, but I'm hoping X10 at least show that maybe there's a chance they could upset a few people through the lower bracket. I think Vikings are a bridge too far.
Yeah, well, X10 viewers, I tried my absolute hardest, but Vikings, they're just looking too good. But folks, that's going to do it for us here in the studio. Now it's Reykjavík, Iceland, as we see X10 battle it out against Vikings. Let's jump into the action.
Hello. Matter. Oh, my budget mark, what the fuck? సార్ మాట్లాడండి.
హలో.
ఇందాక గెలుస్తున్నాను.
బజూకరామ్ దగ్గర ఏంటి సౌండ్ వివత్సంగా వస్తుందా?
ఓకే, 10 మ్యాచ్లు ఉన్నాయి అసలు. టాప్ 3
ఏజ్ అర్థం కాల.
ఈరోజు మ్యాచ్ బాగున్నాయి బ్రో. టీమ్స్ ఇప్పుడు నెక్స్ట్ టీమ్ లిక్విడ్ ఇంకా పెడతాను. ఒకటేమో అమెరికా సెకండ్, ఇంకోటేమో యూరోప్ ఫస్ట్. ఎప్పుడు చూస్తున్నాం కదా.
It's undeniable. We're the best.
You can keep stealing our strats. We'll always be one step ahead. There's always been that NA-EU storyline going on, like who's better, NA or EU. And yeah, there are loads of other regions here as well that I'd love to compete and play against. But I'd say Sentinels, you know, they're the front runners for NA coming in, and I'd like to put them in their place.
So the EU scene is the other scene that's regarded as like really strong at face value. You know, they're really tactical and in depth, and I'm looking forward to see like how we match up versus them.
We think that the EU have the best meta in the world. We look a lot of their games and try to understand what they are proposing to understand and apply to our meta.
I think it's obvious. It's Europe. From what I've seen in scrims and the VOD review, I think Europe is definitely the region to look for.
I feel like in Valorant, there's a really good opportunity to cement ourselves, at least early, as a really strong region. So us having the opportunity to do that, I don't really trust anybody else to do it.
When I watched NA, I wasn't surprised by anyone. It felt like, I don't know, everyone's playing ranked with some scripts, and there was not much team play as the EU.
We're version 1. We're on for
stream la.
Hey, NA, we're coming for you.
ఓహో బ్రో, ఆయన స్టిల్ ఇస్తున్నారు. నేను ఇంకా చూసి పెట్టానే. అవు
కాదు.
బ్రో, నీ స్ట్రీమ్ లింక్ డిస్కౌంట్ లో పెట్టావా?
డిస్కార్డ్ లో పెడతా, దీంట్లో పెట్టా.
నాకు పెట్టుకో, లేకపోతే కదా. నీ పేరెంట్స్ పెట్టు.
డిస్కార్డ్ లో పెడతాను చూడు.
డిస్కార్డ్లోనా? డిస్కార్డ్లో ఎందుకు అయ్యా? మాకు లేదా యూట్యూబ్?
నా దాంట్లో చూడమని కదా.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to day 2 of Valorant Masters Reykjavík. I am Achilles.
Hello, Mike.
Hello, alongside my good comrade Paper Thin. We'll be bringing you the action here in our first series.
Everyone watch.
As you see the team
on
stage, it's going to be team of Vikings versus
లింక్ పెట్టే చూడు, దాంట్లో స్ట్రీమ్ చూడండి.
What you think about
ఏంటి డైరెక్ట్ నీ దాంట్లో యూట్యూబ్ లోనే ప్లే చేస్తున్నా?
లేదు లేదు, VLC సోర్స్
కాపీరైట్ కొడదాం.
కాదు, క్లెయిమ్ అవుతుంది అబ్బా.
సేమ్ అవుతుంది. ఆడియో మార్చలే, ఆడియో పిచ్ మార్చా.
పెద్ద తెలివే ఇది.
ఏంటి కమెంటేటర్ ఎవరు? ఇప్పుడు
కామెంటేటర్
ఇప్పుడు చూస్తున్నట్టయితే ఇప్పుడు ఆడి నెత్తి మీద పుచ్చికాయ పగిలింది, అలాగే ఇస్తారా ఏంటి?
Yeah, the battle is going to be
నేను నా మొబైల్ లో వస్తున్నా, ల్యాప్టాప్ లో క్లారిటీ చిల్లర ఉంది. కలర్లు చాలా తేడా కొడుతున్నాయి దాంట్లో.
is a little bit concerning, though.
Running commentary.
Yeah, other than that 1-13 loss. Yeah, they lost to Pirates in the semifinal, 1-13. They picked up a single round on the
entry చూసారా
widely been good at Icebox. It's still, you know, they could get thrown off there. They could suffer a loss, but Ascent has absolutely been phenomenal for X10. So, I mean, just taking a glance at this already looks pretty good. Off the rip, if they can get a win on Icebox, it seems like X10 may very well be able to just take this series.
I mean, they could. This is definitely a favorable matchup for them. Bind makes sense. It is.
ఇది ఎలాగో డిలే వస్తుంది 20 seconds వేస్ట్.
ఇప్పుడు మీరు లైవే చూడండి. ఇప్పుడు మీరు లైవే చూసి కామెంటరీ ఇవ్వండి.
Overall, though, it is going to be a really interesting matchup. Two very fast-paced teams. I think X10 has the shortest time to plant out of any team in this tournament. So I'm really curious to see how these are going to match up. Both teams very strong on their attacker sides on Icebox. That's typically where they've gotten their damage done to focus on that first map. So really curious how this is all going to play out. How the Vikings are going to do. They're a really strong team, top to bottom. Sassy is also a bald guy. Me and Tom.
Team Liquid, my favorite team.
To be honest with you, Kilos, I'm kind of, my heart's kind of feeling Vikings.
Chimpanzee.
I mean, they do come into this very heavily favored. A lot of people touting them, you know, in that top three. We just heard the analysts just talking about a lot are in agreement that, you know, this is the team from Brazil to really watch out for. They knew that Sharks was going to be the weaker of the two, obviously coming in as the second seed. But Vikings are on
Iron Bronze la villa ice bro.
And it's really putting us on X10 to show up in this series to make this competitive. I think no matter what, we're going to be in a bloodbath. But based on what we saw just yesterday from Crazy Raccoon, we've already seen that
morning carriages.
People don't necessarily pay the most attention to or have the most expectations of. They
can only one watcher.
Crazy Raccoon
almost
took us into our first series.
But now we have to see if
అలా ఎందుకుంటుంది మనం రన్నింగ్ కామెంటరీ మనం ఒక కంటెంట్ క్రియేట్ అయ్యేది తెలుసా సంకనాకుండం కాదు ఒక కంటెంట్ వీఆర్ కంటెంట్ మేకర్స్
కంటెంట్ క్రియేటర్స్ సరే సాంగ్ ప్లే అండ్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్
round to round. That's one thing that really impressed me about X10 was their ability to adjust on the fly. If they feel like things are going sideways,
is lower bracket team
రెండు టీముల్లో ఒక పేరు చెప్పు ఒక ప్లేయర్ నేమ్ చెప్పు అప్పుడు ప్రెడిక్షన్
especially with Padipan, he is going to be all over the place. Really excited to see they're a team that
మనకు ఒక ప్లేయర్ కూడా తెలియదు.
You think about Icebox, for example, they were one of the teams that is adapted Viper from the get.
Vikings ఎంత తెలుసా ప్రెడిక్షన్ Twitch లో 8:9:7
అసలు ఏమవుతుంది ఇప్పుడు
సారీ 9:7 కాదు 9:1
to be honest with you, he is impressed me.
93% Vikings చాలా స్ట్రాంగ్ అంట.
He's great on his own. He sets himself up. I don't see a lot of teamwork with his comrades.
చాలా గట్టిగా ఆడతారంట. అంటే X10 వాళ్ళు పనికిరారు అంటున్నారు మరి అందరూ.
Very quickly, just
having everything locked
in.
క్రేజీ అసలు
తర్వాత ఫినాటిక్స్
It's going to be scary on X10 coming out.
అది 1:30కి 11 o'clock కి టీమ్ లిక్విడ్ ఇంకేదో ఉండే విన్నర్స్ ఏదో ఉండేది.
Feels more like a strike composition, I suppose you could call it.
మీ దాంట్లో అందరి దగ్గర VLC మీడియా ప్లేయర్ ఉందా?
నా దగ్గర లేదు.
నేను ఫోన్ లో చూస్తున్నాను.
కేజీ చూడండి ఎలా ఉంటుందో.
లైవ్ చూస్తున్నా. ఓపెన్ పెట్టమంటారా అది? ఓపెన్ చేసి మ్యూట్ చేసి పెట్టమంటారా?
ఓపెన్ చేసి మ్యూట్ చేసి పెట్టా అంతే.
on Icebox. So
comment
how this goes. Really keep your eyes on the Sushi Boys on the Cypher instead of the Killjoy. Kind of one of the big
change-ups. glitch pop నీదే కొన్నాడు. నీ glitch pop కొన్నాడు ఈడవడు. ఓమెన్ గాడు.
All right, well, off the bat, just a few members poking forward here into A. On belt one playing down below, pushing forward over towards Nest. Hawk coming out. We'll find the blind here on that for Z.
Just finding a little information there on what The setups are going to look
చూస్తున్నారా లైవ్ లో VCT
చూస్తున్నామా
kind of an interesting
కామెంటరీ ఇవ్వండి అయ్యా మరి మీరు మిమ్మల్ని పెట్టింది ఎందుకు
మాకేమైనా పే చేస్తున్నావా పెట్టినావంట పెట్టినా
అంటే మీకు గేమ్ గురించి బాగా తెలుసు కదా వీడు చూడు ట్రాప్ ఫైర్ ఎక్కడ పెట్టాడు
అబ్బాయి ఏం కమెంటేటర్ రిస్క్ బ్రెయిన్ మ్యాడ్
ర్యాపర్ రిస్క్
వీడు స్మోక్ లో దక్కున్నాడు పోతాడు ఉంటారండి పోయాడు లాల్
అసలు ఏం నాకు ఇంకా రౌండ్ కూడా స్టార్ట్ అవ్వలేదు సెకండ్ రౌండ్
మా లైవ్ చూస్తున్నా ఫస్ట్ రౌండ్ అయిపోయింది వీకింగ్స్
అయిపోయింది
హైలైట్ కాదు మ్యాచ్
లైవ్ చూసి మాట్లాడండి రిస్క్ చూస్తే వెనకాల ఉంటది
అవును లైవ్ చూసి మాట్లాడితే సింక్ అయ్యింది
మరి
ఇప్పుడు పడేసాడు కదా
ఫ్యాంటంగ్ ఉన్నాడు సో అండ్ కలర్ రేజ్ ఒకటి స్పెక్టర్ కూడా అన్నాడు ఒకటే సేవ్ చేసి జెట్ సేవ్ చేసి డిఫెండర్స్ కూడా షెరీఫ్ కొన్నాడు ఓమెన్ చూస్తే లర్క్ చేస్తున్నాడు ఓమెన్ ఒకటి లర్క్ చేస్తున్నాడు బీ కాదు మిడ్ లో ఉన్నాడు
ఇప్పుడు మిడ్ లో ఉన్నాడు
చచ్చిపోతాడు
ఏది అటాకింగ్ ఏది డిఫెండింగ్ సారీ ఏది
చూసాడు ఇంకా బ్లైండ్ చేశాడు వెనకాల నుంచి
అయ్యో
వాళ్ళిద్దరు
ఓకే అవుట్
అంటే వైకింగ్స్ Camera is going to see Omen on that lurk though. Spotted there for a moment.
2-0.
Continuing to get these blinds. FRC right up in front will get taken down. Fox finding another one. 3 kills going the way of X10. And it's only going to be Cruz falling for them right now. Pushing up on the corner. Sadhak trying to find that kill. Nano Swarm into the back. Pushes the corner.
Break the replay.
In the round as Sushi Boys goes down. Last member alive. Hovering in the back of the site. It's just going to be scary, but he does not stand a chance. Fox manages to find that kill. It's going to be a round start now for Vikings. Yeah, pretty interesting to see Sadak, the shot caller here for Vikings, coming out with that Phantom. Already 4-0-1 and able to keep it in his hands. That's a nice...
It's going to be a nice little economic swing for X10. See what they can do. It's going to be Vandals across the board for them. 3 Phantoms.
Jet to that chin under tube.
Kill. Is he going to be gone now? 3 character players eliminated.
Right, yeah. నేర్చుకోండి అంటాడు వేసేస్తే మనకు వచ్చా
దాని లైనప్ ఆడికి తెలవాలి అనేది
అది కూడా రిస్క్ చూడని నువ్వు ఎలాగేస్తావు తెలుసు కిందికి పెట్టి 2 బౌన్స్లు వేస్తావు
రూపీస్ రీకాల్ అవి
స్మోక్ లో
spray through the smoke. Yep, just looking at those tracer rounds, and they will get rid of Patty.
See if they're really going to get to this now that the toxic screen is there. Really difficult for Vikings. Time's getting a little bit low. They're going to make a reroll.
బాబు ఈడికంటే నేనే బాగా చేస్తారు వీళ్ళు వేస్ట్ టోర్నమెంట్
దానికునే సంతోషపడాలే
over towards A, or at least maybe faking with the footsteps.
Okay, they are lost.
టైం లేదు ప్లాన్ చేయి బ్రో సో బ్రో
అదే కదా వదిలేస్తున్నాడు ఒక కిల్ కోసం వెళ్ళాడు మేబీ వాళ్ళు వీక్ చేద్దాం ఎకానమీ లేదు కదా
onto his weapon, but this is a huge turn now for X10. The question is whether or not they can run with the momentum and try to string a couple rounds together.
Record next record babai.
I mean, just solid defense there on the side. Never really able to get anything established. Not a lot of utility, able to be committed there by the Vikings to push forward.
Skin 11
comes out, picks him off into mid. Nice job there, Fox. nails
కాదు
his
ఈ
first
స్కిన్
hit.
లేకపోయినా హెడ్ షాట్
He
కొడితే
has him
ఎక్స్
down
ఆ
there,
సింబల్
gets the
వస్తుంది కదా అది ఎలా
information
వస్తుంది
behind
అది
the arrow as well, and from there they
ఎప్పుడు
rotate
వస్తుంది
from
కదా
there.
అది
స్కిన్
నార్మల్
ఎప్పుడు
గా
వస్తుంది
Circleman can just
స్కిన్
come through for
లేకపోతే
X10.
Xbox లా
అవునవును స్కిన్
రెండు కత్తులు వస్తాయి Xbox
స్కిన్ అంటే స్కిన్ లెక్క ఆడి ఆడి అట్లా
Starting in an aggressive
Finger.
position, does get spotted, has to
జాక్
drop
నిన్న కూడా
off the
Xbox
pipes
మ్యాచ్
there.
ఎవరు సేవ్ చేసుకోలేదు తెలుసా
As the
నేను ఐదు లక్షలు చూడలేదు ఫస్ట్ లో చూసా డిసప్పాయింట్ వెళ్ళిపోయా
will be
చెత్తగా
coming through now for the Vikings.
మొత్తం చూడలేదు మ్యాచ్
Dashing
చూసాను
out, jumping
ఇప్పుడు
up.
ఇబ్బంది మొత్తం
Spot on him, they're looking for the finish,
Oh,
and they will manage to get him with the
tag.
hunters here. An additional tag now coming through. Flips on the Fox. And that will be the plant going down for Vikings. A very solid start to the round for them. Have to commit 2 ults to
the
this.
backstep
We'll be looking to close this out to move up 3-1. If
Gone.
X10 can turn this around, be absolutely huge for them. to
ఉమెన్
maintain
నాకంటే
some
వరస్ట్
momentum.
ఆడుతున్నాడు
Double
వీడు
lurk around the back.
అంటే నువ్వు కూడా వరస్ట్
బ్రో వాడు సెకండ్ లో ఒక బ్యాలెన్స్
Prep
సిక్స్
is looking at that angle, but doesn't manage to find the shot.
నన్ను దొబ్బుతావు
Sushi Boys,
బ్రో
however, will get dropped.
సెకండ్ రౌండ్ బ్లైండ్
Dropping Cruz coming down into
3
the
versus
second,
2.
by the stinger from FRZ. And
Out.
Scary will be the last
Bye,
one to
bye.
fall. So Vikings do manage to close it out. They lose 2 of the
ఏ
guns. But overall,
ఈ మ్యాచ్ లోనే సేజ్ ఉందా ఉందా లేదు కదా ఒక్క
Yeah,
టీమ్
it's
లో
just a
కూడా
really
సేజ్
nice
లేదు
post plant setup. Even
లేదు
though
లేదు
take us
నిన్నైతే
into
ఒక మ్యాచ్ ఒకటే
that,
డిస్ట్రిక్ట్
that push around the
First game.
corner, the backside of A,
జెట్
they
ఓపెన్
have
చేసుకున్నా అంతే వాడు
Sadak right there, ready to go to clean up things on the backside, not really open up that flank. Farzia holding down the middle of the plant site. Very, very nicely done here by the Vikings. Now they're coming out a little bit more ahead. Things are pretty even right now, though, in terms of cash. A little bit more money definitely on the side of Vikings, but if X10 can win this round, they're going to be sitting just fine.
all right, well,
మారిపోయాడు మంచిగా
to start things off, Scary is looking to lock down this A site that
Alt
continuously
by that
gets
win.
hit by
అల్టిలో
Vikings.
క్రేజీ అల్టి
ఏడు నుంచి వేసిండు
They're still playing forward, just on the
ఇప్పుడు
outskirts.
ఏమ్మా సోవా డ్రోన్ చూడు పనికి రావట్లేదు
అదే కదా
We'll send the drone forward to try to scout through.
లాల్ ఈడు చూడు ఇటువైపు
Haven't managed
వచ్చాడు
to locate him yet.
చూసినా దాని పైన
Up on that zip line. Gets
This
the
is
spot.
entire yes, proper
FRZ
game.
eliminated. They're trying to spray through. They're trying to find Scary. Don't manage to do so. He pushes out around the corner.
Right, proud.
Sadak
మ్యాచ్ చెక్అవుట్
tries to make his way
Ah,
out
he
of
penned
smoke.
on
It's
another.
going to be the smoke cloud dropping down, but it's going to be a 4v2.
Lol.
This lurk around the back coming in from Cruz, from Patty. They get the spot. They should have the finish. So the Gus does manage to find one. But with 30 HP, yeah, will get shut down. And just like that, X10, they trade right back, keeping it close.
Yep, this is really nice for
బొక్కలే
X10.
కాంపిటేటివ్ గేమ్ లో లేదు
They
బొక్క గేమ్ లో
do.
ఉంది
They put down the Viper pit, and Vikings
ఇది
just
బాగుందా
continue
బ్రో
to
రేజ్
push through it.
పడాడు
It's
వాట్
really
ఇస్
tough all to
అందుకని
deal with in
అన్ని
those
వేరే
situations. So, Vikings there, I think maybe being
అదే
a
ఇప్పుడు
little
మన
bit
లాబీలో వాడిని కేజీతో క్యారీ
over-aggressive
చేస్తే
on that side, and you can see still
మాటలే
setting up
మాటలు మీరందరు
towards A.
బాట్లు డ్యూలిస్ట్ అన్నాక 30 కిల్స్
Hammering away
ఉండాలి
at this, and look at the B setup here from X10. They seem pretty convinced
అంటే దృశ్య
that
దొరుకుతారు
there's going to be a change in strats for the Vikings on this round.
Yeah, but it's going to be very much the same. Percy charging forward, Bladestorm in hand. Gus going out. Good that TP. And Sushi Boys get the spot on Sadak. Just manages to spray him down through that smoke.
ఏ గ్రిస్ప్
Reaches
బుల్లాగే
to safety. Over by the screen.
మంచిగా ఉంది అయ్యో అయ్యో
అరే
అయ్యో
ఆ,
చచ్చింది
బాగుంది.
Scary coming through.
అవి రాగా బాగా వచ్చాయి
Looks for some kills.
Nice
Won't manage to find anything. Patty with his own
ఎగిరి
Bladestorm takes
కొట్టిండాడు
down one. Pulls out the pistol, goes for the right clicks, but FRZ will shut him down. Gets that reset. 3 members left versus 2. 2 members remaining here for X10. Both going to be topped up, full HP. With rifles in hand, but can they get the kill? Sushi Boy's going to
కానీ
fall
ఆడు
short.
బాగా ట్రాన్స్ఫర్
GTN
చేసాడు
taking him
స్కై
out with a
గాడు
Spectre, and it's
స్కై
another
గాడు
great shot
వాడు
on
బుల్డాగ్
Bladestorm from FRZ for
ఏ
Vikings.
స్కై
Take a
చంపినోడు
2-round lead.
And it's just a really
ముందు
hard
దాన్ని
commit
అల్టిమేసి
onto the
వెంటనే
B
భలే
side
తిప్పాడు
here for X10 at the beginning of the round. That means they're going to be late.
డ్యూలిస్ట్ చూడు ఎక్కడ ఉన్నారు
Sushi Boys, I think it was his tripwire that got the spot there up in the nest. Let's see, let's watch through here. Yeah, Sushi Boys gets that spot and just mows him down. Nicely done. And Sasi gonna be the one
దాన్ని
to watch the
alternate.
lurks this time and doing a fantastic job.
మనోళ్ళు
Hold
alternate
on,
సార్ ఫస్ట్
picking up a couple, the right click.
మూడింటిని చంపే చెయ్యాలి బ్రో
FRZ
అది
is gonna get taken down.
ఇది అతి
అదే
Fox trying to do
వీళ్ళందరూ
something,
పిచ్చి వాళ్ళు
but nothing available. Really nicely done there.
కొట్టి చూపించు
Kind of a tale of two jets. Gonna be
Oh,
FRZ coming out on
shit.
top of that one.
జోగి పెట్
Pushing forward.
అట్లనే ఊరుకోస్తారు
Forces out
కాక
the tailwind. Leaves it up grab for tailwind himself to get out to
స్ట్రైట్
safety.
గా రోప్లో వెళ్ళిపోతాడు ఎలా
Got a
వచ్చాడు అలా
cycle tag
వచ్చేస్తాడు
down to FRZ. Weapons across the board for the most part are going to be somewhat even. A bulldog there for Sasi and just the sheriff for Sushi Boys. So
Lol.
Get a bit more favorable for the Vikings.
Omen gad అయిపోయి
Because though he was all on his lonesome, inching up onto B. The rest of the team from Vikings now getting ready to storm into the A side where they've already taken out Patty. Smoke coming down. Up here on the gets himself up on the center, but has to drop down to get spotted by the recon bolt. Sushi boys wrapping around the back. The cannot get the shots applied through. GTN comes up with a kill. Will get traded in the end by Fox. Does himself get taken down by Sadak. Very bloody rounds here to start Vikings yet to get this plant going. They have the man advantage again. 3-2. Shots coming through. Cruz spotted. Finished off. And that'll be the cleanup as FRZ finds the lead around.
Man, FRZ really having some great back-to-back rounds here for the Vikings. Getting up on top of the pipes and doing some work from up there. Really kind of able to find ways around.
Twitch లోనే ఫాస్ట్ గా వస్తుంది అనుకుంటున్నాను నేనైతే ఒక 3-4 సెకండ్స్. అవును ట్విచ్ లోనే ఫాస్ట్ గా వస్తుంది. కాదు నిన్న చూసా ఇప్పుడు బి సైడ్ డ్రోన్ మేకింగ్ స్టార్ట్ అయిపోయింది మ్యాచ్. యూట్యూబ్ లో 3 or 4 seconds డిలే ఉంటది.
ట్విచ్ బెస్ట్ అబ్బా. ట్విచ్ కూడా నైస్.
క్లారిటీ కూడా ట్విచ్ అని గట్టిగా ఉంటది యూట్యూబ్ కన్నా.
నిన్న నైట్ మంచిగా రాలే యూట్యూబ్ క్వాలిటీ.
ట్విచ్ ఎక్స్పెషల్లీ బాగుంటది రా. ఇది నైస్.
Of the attacker's spawn.
అకౌంట్ క్రియేట్ అయితే
నా ట్విచ్ అకౌంట్ నా ఇన్ గేమ్ నేమ్ ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఒకటే.
ట్విచ్ అకౌంట్ అప్పుడు ఫేస్బుక్ లో చేసిన అది వస్తలేదు.
ఫేస్బుక్ అవ్వట్లేదు. మళ్ళీ సెపరేట్ లాగిన్ చేస్తా అయిపోతది.
సెపరేట్ లాగిన్ అంటే జీమెయిల్ కొడితే ఆల్రెడీ ఇదేమంటారు ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ అని వస్తుంది.
అవును కోక పాస్
వస్తలేదు. ఈమెయిల్ వస్తలేదు.
షరీఫ్ ఇచ్చిన పెట్టేసి పడుకున్నట్టుండే మనల్ని
ఏంది నేను ఉన్నాను.
ప్లేయర్ వెళ్ళిపోతే రిస్క్ ఎంటర్ అవుతాడు.
Spikes planted, tailwind gonna have to be burnt by Patty. He tries to get himself over to Soman, but Sasi lines up the headshot. Fox managing to find one, taking up the sitting in the corner. FRZ trying to spray his way to success. Will find Sushi
కానీ ఆల్దే మంది కిల్లాంగ్ మెథడ్ వేరే ఉంటది.
3v3 now, but outgunned. Our X10 need to click some heads, but they just can't quite get it done. Sasi finds 3. That's gonna be a very nice stretch coming through for Vikings. Up 4 rounds with just 3 more to go in the half.
Yeah, you can see that they even went for a few cheeky things there for X10, the Marshall into the hands of Patty Penn, the Stinger even in the hands of Cruz, but he just wasn't really able to get much done with it, never able to find a good position for it. Able to get one before he's taken down. Sasi having some big shots in this round, getting the triple kill. Coming through huge. Very nicely done by the Vikings here, stringing together quite a few rounds.
Normal get under elder flame
done on this assault rifle round.
నిన్న అంతా ఎల్లర్ ఫ్లేమ్
ఫ్రేమ్ చాలా తక్కువ.
Aggressively managed to find one, but he's not ready for FRZ to be waiting on top there at the pipe. Brings him down, catching him from behind, but Cruz with that side angle manages to catch FRZ. Tries to inch up GTN leaping over that Viper's bite. Himself safe, not taking any additional damage. Now they have to reroute. They have to rethink this.
We're going to get a little information, our X10 off the Trailblazer and the guiding lights that nobody's trying to push Ace. You can see after that guiding light came down, the call is starting to rotate back towards B. By X10.
బాబు నువ్వు టెన్షన్ గురించి నువ్వు మాట్లాడక. కాదు కిరణ్ డార్క్ వాళ్ళు అక్కడ పెద్ద టోర్నమెంట్ ఎలా ఆట నువ్వు అక్కడ పిక్చర్ చేస్తే అక్కడే మన నార్మల్ కంబ్యాక్ మ్యాచ్ ట్రై హార్డ్ చేస్తా అప్పుడప్పుడు.
Eliminates one, drops down, has to recover the spike, has it in hand now. Fakes the plant. Here's the rushing. Managed to find one. He actually clutches up 47 HP in a dream.
One versus one.
You never saw him.
Pushing forward. Yep. And Fox. He just the opportunity. Location. Shuts him down. It's going to be another round on the board here for X10, but they need to get some wind in their sails. They need to get a couple additional ones together if they want to make this a viable half.
టైసన్ లాగే వాడు టీమ్ ఈడుంటాడు కోచ్
కొంచెం లోపలికి ప్లాన్
attempt here by this is a great shot, but then I don't think he ever saw Fox. And you're right, exactly correct, man. Fox doing a great job. Steps, catches him out in the open. I mean, you're pretty exposed from that.
అది ఈజీగా వాల్ బ్యాంక్
Pressure was coming for
దీంట్లో నుంచి కూడా వాల్ బ్యాంక్ చేసి ప్లాన్ చేసి నేను నాకేదో గేమ్ లో
so a very important win there for
ట్యూబ్ ఉండేది కదా ట్యూబ్
అది
ట్యూబ్ లో ఒక వుడెన్ ఉండేది
ముందు పోతుండు వస్తుండు ఎత్తుండు వస్తున్నాడు ఫైట్ చేస్తుండు లేకపోతే వెనుకకు వస్తుండు తప్ప కిల్ ఫైట్ వస్తుంది
Still a very deep lurk happening from Sutegas as he sits back over in the spawn. He's waiting to see if anybody's going to come from that flank position. It's been played so regularly from the side of X10, but they might not even need it. Look at the cleanup that's happening here on the site. The spike did not get planted. They get the finishing blows, and now there's a man advantage for the side of X10.
Well, that shutdown of GTN is huge. That opens up so much space. It's kind of a blind push through the toxic screen there, and it gets shut down by Cruz. Excellent pull on that. Although FRZ gonna get scary now. Opportunity, Blade Storm online.
Evens it up.
స్మోక్ అవ్వాలంటే ఇప్పుడే
ఓమెన్ గాడ్ అవుట్ అందుకోతే
anticipates that there's going to be somebody waiting for Snipe. Not going to connect. Down the ramp, keeping his head.
సార్ వాళ్ళు పిక్ చేసి అలా వెనక్కి వెళ్ళిపోతున్నారు మనోళ్ళు చంపే వరకు చావడమే
Charging in, manages to find the kill.
అంతేగానే పోతాడు
Is gone. It's all the way. It's all the game.
అవుట్
Sushi Boys cleans up 3 with the Spectre and X10.
అలా బాడీ కదా హెడ్ కాదు కదా
2 rounds back to back. They're keeping it close.
I mean, you're not fully expecting an opponent to be able to shoot you out of the air when you come blast packing in, but Cruz is ready for it. Great job on his part. The crossfire here for Sushi Boys and Scary as well. Just mowing them apart as they try to come through the toxic screen, and FRZ doing everything he can, but again, it's Sutekas on the plant. This time he's at least able to get it down. FRZ never really able to find much success with that Blade Storm. Looking a little sloppy here.
Yeah. Well, 2 rounds in a row now. Let's see if they can make it 3. Economically.
Patty Pan on the judge.
Oh, well, I mean, that suits his aggressive style.
True.
It seems like right as we hit the end of the countdown, though, we will have a brief little pause. So hopefully we can get this squared away quickly and get back into the action, because we know these teams like to push the pace. They don't want to be slowed down.
పాస్ చేశారు టెక్నికల్ పాస్ నిన్న కూడా ఏదో పాస్ చేశారు నిద్ర
Yeah, I was going to say, it felt a little weird at the beginning of this one. Achilles said it was kind of slow. I wasn't expecting that.
That changed real.
Yeah, that changed real fast, my friend. Padipan just not able to come online for X10, and yet they're still doing really well. So I got to say, that's a really good sign for them, man. He's only 5-9-2 so far, but the rest of the team is coming up big. I mean, 9-9 for Scary. He's having a decent round here. 8-6 for Fox. Really carrying the team on that Sova. So right now, I feel pretty good for X10.
అలా చూస్తున్నాడంటే ఈ రెడ్ బుల్ లేకపోతే ఇంకోటి ఇస్తారా ఎవరా అన్నట్టు చూస్తున్నాడు
ఏమైంది వాట్ డస్ టీఎక్స్ దొరికింది
any kind of run back from coming through here for X10. If they can even this up, make it, especially on the defender side, that's going to bode very well for them. Because we're seeing how Petty likes to play on the defense. We can expect that it's going to be very similar for him. When he moves over on the attack, it's going to be that much more aggression from him going forward. These just dry peaks out.
Right, and I kind of wonder if the move to the judge here, if he does stick with it, if that was just kind of try to get himself a little fired up, find a couple of easy kills, catching members of Vikings off guard or getting in their faces, and then seeing if he could kind of carry that momentum with him.
Ideally, pretty soon here, guys.
240 hedges.
The players waiting with anticipation. Keyboards. Mics and keyboards, Seems like we should be squared away. We'll go ahead and restart the timer, and there we go.
One thing that has me concerned here, Achilles, is that
The Vikings are having a tough time trying to come up over the tubes, not able to do it as Potty
మన
Potty does
జట్టు
love that
ముందుకు
judge.
ఆడి ముందుకు డాష్ కొట్టి తెచ్చింది.
అది చూసారా జట్టు మూడు కోట్లు ఏం చేశాడు?
He threw out the right click for the Bladestorm as well.
వీడికి తీట కథలు ఆగుతలేదు
Audio cue
జట్టు
that
వాడికి
didn't pop
అసలు
that, so trying to get that kill, doesn't manage to find it, but I mean FRC's never done HP. That's about as good as they can get. Whereas close to. So still a significant amount of damage pushed into the enemies here. Already sitting up quite nicely as the Viper's Spit is used over on the A site just to try and dissuade them from pushing in.
Yeah, I think kind of learning their lesson from the last time they tried that. Didn't go so well. And that was the one thing I was going to kind of point out for Vikings is the one thing they seem to be struggling with a bit is the Viper utility, of course. So let's see if this time they can get around it. But she's up top waiting. A double push going to come through here.
Yep, it's a different angle. Managed to find the one, doesn't quite spot the other. Sudhawk does make his way through, but he doesn't check the corner. He is already and waiting. They follow right into the spider's trap. And cleanup will be there overall. Saucy trading one back, dropping it down that toxic screen, but Cruz gets the final blow, and just like that, we are one round separated between X10 and Vikings. Last round in the half. Let's see if we're going to flip sides 6-6, completely tied up.
It's tough when you're pushing through the Viper's pit. It's, of course, hard to see anything, and the opponents have a big-time advantage on you. And this time, like you mentioned, X10 is in different spots, so it's hard to get a read on where they're even going to be waiting for you. And this is one of the things in my notes coming into this that I really liked about X10 is they are always changing it up. They're trying different stuff. Even when things are going well, they will give you different looks, and it's one of the things that has made them successful in their region.
I mean, one of the things that you have to do is you have to try to send that drone forward, try to get a spot out, clear those angles that are being played. We just don't see that happen. They get rightfully
in it, I guess. That's really about it.
Cam.
చూడు క్యామ్ స్పాట్ కూడా
advancing forward. Hunter Fury being used. Looking to open things.
మొత్తం అందరు రివీల్ అవుతున్నారు దాంట్లో.
Now we will see that lockdown used.
లేదు కదా, అది జస్ట్ చూస్తున్నాడు అంతే.
TP around the back.
అది వెనకాల తిరగట్లేదు కదా.
చూడు ఎస్కోర్ట్ లాగా బాంబు ఎలా తీసుకెళ్తున్నారు.
Moving out of A over towards screens. The rest of the team. Yeah, the rest of the team is
మ్యాప్ లో చూడండి ఒకసారి మ్యాప్ లో భలే
he is just going to be waiting for anybody pushing in from the back. Everybody, however, is rotating through the back.
క్యామ్ మాత్రం క్రేజీ అసలు.
Decides to show his location.
ఏ లాల్ రీటేక్ ఆడుతున్నారు ఏంటి వీళ్ళు?
Shots flying.
ఓమన్ గడ్ కుక్క సావు చూడడానికి.
Gets traded back, but just like that, they find GTN. It's going to be a huge advantage now here for the side of X10 as they look to tie this up 6-6. The last one alive. All of his utility has been burned. The Nanoswarm will find one. He follows up for a second. Kind of scary. And now it comes down to a 1v1. Him versus Sushi Boys. Damage out. Fake tap on the spike. Let's try to hold this one for half. And now Sushi is in a precarious spot. Goes to the tap yet again. And Sada can get He has to try to stick forward. But it out in the end. Gonna get 7 to 5.
అరే ఏం పీకిల్ రా అది.
Sada coming through big for his team. Caller for the Vikings, holding it down. And I thought, first of all, I thought this round looked great for the Vikings against Sutekas deep in A. They know there's nothing going on. He has a nice TP over into mid to give a good crossfire on the retake attempt. But he just all kind of really fooled.
అడిగేం చేయాలి అర్థం కాలేదు. ఇంకా ఉండిపోయాడు.
180 degrees తిరిగి వచ్చి కానీ అలా స్ట్రైట్ గా రాదు నాకు.
నేర్పిస్తాను.
Fantastic last round there to really give Vikings a little bit of confidence.
ఓకే అన్యా.
Whenever you can create those catch-22 situations.
ఏంటి ట్విచ్ పద్దాక ఆగిపోతుంది, రీలోడ్ అని వస్తుంది.
Wonderful to see.
నాకు బానే
We go into the second half. Wasting any time. Pistols drawn out. A couple of frenzies here for the defenders.
యూట్యూబ్ లో స్లో ఉంది, డిలే ఉంది.
అవును స్లో ఉంది యూట్యూబ్ లో. నువ్వు ట్విచ్ లో చూడరా మీరు అన్ప్రొఫెషనల్. ట్విచ్ లో చూడడానికి అకౌంట్ ఉండాలేంటి?
అవసరం లేదు.
ప్రాపర్ గా ఉంటుంది మీకు.
Everybody now starting to pull away from A. Cyber Cage thrown down in mid. That gets spotted. They're very privy to this rotation, especially with FRZ waiting.
Mana bila
Spot
చూసుకోవచ్చు.
whatsoever. This could be a major surprise for them. A rude awakening, perhaps. He does drop down. Minutes to find Patty. Sushi Boy's going to be gone as well. Throws down some of these cloud bursts to keep himself covered. Weaving in and out of this smoke.
Smoke అయితే అరే
ఓడి అమ్మ 2 బుల్లెట్స్ తో కూడా వేస్తాడు.
Clean it up. 3 members left standing. Another pistol round going to the Vikings.
Yeah, when you get on top of that crane, it can
glitch
cause
pop
a
frenzy
lot of
lane.
problems, especially the other team gets way
Mana-
ahead of you
mana
and they have
project
no
కొన్న
idea.
తర్వాత
They
famous
don't check
అయిపోయింది
it very nicely done here by FRZ.
అంతకుముందు బ్లాక్ ఫ్రెంజీలు వాడేవాళ్ళు అందరూ.
Holding the line up on the front, kind of distracting a lot of X10. They're kind of tunneled in towards him. Then FRZ finds the perfect moment to strike Saucy, coming in to clean it all up, but very nicely done. I gotta give
2 bullets లో ఒక నేసాడంట
Vikings
ఇది
after a
ఏంటో.
couple of rough rounds against X10, really able to right the ship.
బుల్లెట్ లోనే రీలోడ్ కొడతాం.
Do see 2 sheriffs now out from X10,
పదేందుకు
Patty and
పద
Scary.
ఒక్క బుల్లెట్ పోయినా చాలు.
Looking to
Guardian
put some
here.
heads to try to turn this around. Yeah, we have been seeing a couple Guardians. We
Police
had
house లో కంటిన్యూస్
one use of it yesterday
అంత లౌడ్
on Icebox, in fact.
వైపాడ్ ఉంది ఏలో పడింది అక్కడ
That you can utilize on it, either from like you're seeing there over on belt,
But
or
flash
oh,
ఎక్కువ
nice job by
time flash
FRZ with that ghost.
He's
Oh,
going to
nice
regress into the cloud burst. Throws on the second one, does decide to pull back.
Keep ghost లో దగ్గర.
Saucy spotting
Bro,
one,
ni
takes a couple shots in that frenzy. A couple of hits in, but
Ni
Scary in the
Sherry
meantime.
Park
Can see
అది
elimination.
మాత్రం
అవును, ఇందాకే చెప్పినా.
Think us waiting here. Into has the support from Sadak. Up
ఇలా
mid.
రీకాన్ వేస్తే నీట్ గా ఉంటది.
To get that finish, it's going to be a 3v4.
పోయినట్టున్నాడు కదా
Everyone
opponents.
right now, HP bars low on everybody other than
Hybrid.
Sushi Boys. Which is a
It is
great
a
name.
It is a great name. I like a lot of the names on X10. Cruz, Scary, Fox.
వీళ్ళు గన్స్ పడి
It's
లేదు
good, man. Potty pot. But it has a ring to it, you know. Oh, Sushi's not like this. Tries to come around the corner.
ఈ రోజు
Dry.
కమెంటేటర్స్ కొంచెం ప్రశాంతంగా ఉంది, అంత గోడలో పట్లే.
It's nothing worse than
జస్ట్ నెమ్మదిగా మాట్లాడుతున్నారు నిన్నటికన్నా.
నిన్న అమ్మాయి అయితే చో 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 అని అరుస్తుంది.
గోల అసలు
Vikings starting to stretch a very scary lead.
ఈ కరంబెట్ బాగోదు.
Absolutely need to turn this around right now. They need to get some momentum going.
Yeah, the last time though we saw X10 on a kind of a really important must-win rifle round, they were able to get it done. So maybe this go around they can. A little bit more difficult now for them without that Viper to really lock down the A side. Of course, they're on the attacker side. And I gotta give again. I want to go back to Sadak real quick. His utilization of his nano swarms with Killjoy is a really important factor in kind of what's making a difference right now. On this map as we look to take a tactical timeout here for X10. I think a perfect time to be taking this timeout. So it is an interesting difference here in the Sentinels, right? You've got Cypher and Killjoy. The thing I like about what I usually see out of the Cypher from X10 was that they would put the trap wires in tubes in really narrow spots around B. I haven't really been seeing them
ఎందుకంటే ఐస్ బాక్స్ అని ఆడుకుంటా. ఇదే ఈ లెఫ్ట్ కు ఉంటది.
you know, he's a
Sorry, right కి.
అంటారు ఏ ర్యాంప్ రైట్ కి ఉంటది.
ఇప్పుడు చూపిస్తుందా?
ఇందాక చూపించింది అదే బెల్ట్.
X10 talk some sense into the players and maybe tell Patty like calm down just a little
ఈ
bit.
కరంబెట్ బాగోదు.
Roll it back 20, 15%.
యానిమేషన్ మంచిగా ఉంటుండే రా.
Focus up and get back.
అదేమో మరి చిన్నగా ఏదో తేడాగా ఉంది ఇది.
This is X10's map pick.
సిఎస్ కోక్ అంత ఏం లేదు.
Try to close this out. They do have a scent waiting for them around the corner no matter what. Which they have an incredible win rate on, 19-1 overall as their all-time win rate, 15-1 in 2020. So, they can still look forward to that, but they would love to get this win on Icebox. There's still so much more confidence in them as they get ready to go.
ఓకే మేనేజర్ ఒకడు కోచ్ ఒకడు ఉండే.
వీళ్ళు గేమ్ లో కూడా కింద కోచ్ ఉంటాయి మనకి. దానిలో కోచ్ ఉండదు నిన్న చూసా. కోచ్ ఏం చేస్తాడు?
ఏంటిది?
మెటల్ ఫస్ట్ నైఫ్ వాడుతున్నాడు. నైఫ్ అదే యాక్స్.
They're really coming out here and doing a pretty good job, but again, Potty Pond,
team manager role,
he still has not really come online for X10.
Mana team manager.
Nano Swarm off the rip, just trying to stave off
X10 Tyler Asia team anta.
This finds a smattering of damage on the Fox, but otherwise he's going to be just fine. Not even really worth Cruz popping that healing totem to try to top him back up.
You can see they're gonna send the drone out, see if they can get any information on what's going on over on A, but it's gonna get shot down there pretty quickly. Does get the dart in there. Have to pull that out. Saucy in return, gonna send his out and see a lot of members of X10.
Ooh.
Oh,
జట్టగాడు ఇన్స్టెంట్ గా ఈయన నొక్కేస్తున్నాడు.
ఎంత తిరిగాడు జట్టుగాడు.
అరే ఏమన్నా
అదే అదే చేద్దాం అనుకున్నా. 2 bullets 2 headshots.
అయ్యో అయ్యో ఏంటి అన్నీ ఏంటి?
ఇదేంది వానికి నైఫ్ ఇప్పుడే వచ్చింది. డబుల్ యాక్స్ అది డబుల్ నైఫ్
ఇన్వెంటరీలో ఉన్నాయని అడిగి ఇచ్చేస్తారు.
One versus one. That Scary is going to try to create. He hears him on the spike. Can he interrupt him? Pushes out. Will manage to strike him down. X10, they finally put another round here on the board.
అట్లా కాదు, అందరూ గేరు పెద్ద ఫేమస్ అంటే ఇస్తారు.
ఏంటండి నాకు అర్థం కాలే. నేను మళ్ళీ చెప్పు.
కంటెంట్ క్రియేటర్ అకౌంటా?
Took the Vikings to town. I mean, what a
తెలుగులో నువ్వు ఒక్కనే పెట్టుకో.
That's what you're looking for out of your entry, Fragger. The triple kill here.
చూసారా జట్టు గారు సైఫర్ క్యాన్ బాల్ తాపేశారు.
And really put X10 back in this game.
ఇంకో నైఫ్ యూపీయట్లే.
చేసుకోలేదు. వాడు భలే కామెడీగా ఉన్నాడు. వాడు ఎవడో పీతో ఉన్నాడు.
మళ్ళీ పాస్. ఇంట్రూడర్ అలర్ట్.
Stop Vikings from cresting that double-digit round count. Try to keep it as close as humanly possible to run this back. It's still a long
ఆడొకడు
అదే కదా ఫ్లో అవుతాయి.
వాళ్ళందరూ సరిపుకున్నారు -0 వాళ్ళకి.
Stop Vikings from cresting that double-digit round count. Try to keep it as close as humanly possible. Look to run this back. It's still a long road ahead of them, but they've shown that they have the firepower. They do have some of these set plays that work great. They've got explosive on the sides. It's just with some irregularities. They need the consistency to really make it happen.
10 ఏదో అన్నారంటే అదే మౌస్ స్విచ్ చేయడానికి ఇవ్వరంటే కాడికి ఇంకా.
From time to time, but really X10, if the good news for them is some of their other players are
stepping up. Problems వస్తాయా?
Both Jets have the Blade Storms online. I thought that was going to be kind of interesting. Looks like we have another technical pause here.
అది స్వెట్ కోసమే.
డ్రమ్స్ కొడుతుండా?
అవి ఉన్నాయి కదా స్వెట్ కోసమే అనుకుంటా.
కావచ్చు బ్రో, అట్లనే
అదే ఆడు ఫింగర్స్ ఇలా రబ్ చేసుకుంటున్నాడుగా.
అదే
just something that's followed me throughout my career ever since I started casting out here in Korea.
I do blame you. I'm fully just pointing all my fingers at you.
I can take the blame. I'm like Batman at the end of the night.
Drums కొడుతుండు ఒకడే దాన్ని గట్టిగా కొడుతుండు టెన్షన్ కొద్ది.
I'll put up with the blame.
Yeah, I'm just Batman. That's okay. Don't worry, guys. Wow. Well, I gotta say though, going back to the game here, man, this has actually been really good. I think what we expected, fast, furious, bloody, just pushing the tempo. Are both teams especially on their attacker side, just when they make a decision, they go for it. Oftentimes, whether it be, especially on A, it seems like they're just very much like, okay, wait, now everybody hit it at the same time, whether that being GTN using the race blast packs to come in, or just the Jets making their move. I'm still a little curious about this lack of Viper for the Vikings and how this is going to continue to affect them, because you can see with X10 that caused a lot of issues for the Vikings.
Monkey got wrong dance చేసింది ఇప్పుడు.
అవునా?
మ్యాజిక్ చేస్తున్నా.
Or the toxic screens, finding ways to deal with that. They did a decent job of it once, kind of getting above the toxic screens, but those Viper pits in particular were really, really troublesome.
Yeah, and it's it's something that's become
అదేదో
so very
కీబోర్డ్
prevalent
అది
in just about every
పేరు
region.
హెచ్
We've started seeing a lot of Viper as well in Korea prior to this event, especially on Icebox. There's so many great set plays, just locking down the entirety of A or B is
పెద్ద షెడ్
phenomenal. We saw, I forget who exactly had pulled it off, but a wonderful Viper spit over on the B side on Icebox that had locked off the kitchen as well as the site. So there's a lot of creative placement that you can utilize with Kit to just completely shut down sightlines for the opponents. Not really want to start integrating that into their strategies. It can become more worrisome. The deeper you go in this format,
56.7
you're going to have to dig deep. You're going to have more than what we've already seen
రాదు
from you.
10 దానికి
If you want to find
సెంటినల్స్
success
గట్టిగా
running the
వస్తుంది
same show
అనుకుంటాను
up, we're using our E4
వెనుకుంది
share,
కదా
we're using our setup.
11 కదా నెక్స్ట్ దే కదా
130
సెంటినల్స్ కాదు టీమ్ లిక్విడ్
టీమ్ లిక్విడ్ అంత ఎక్కువ రాకపోతే సెంటినల్స్ చాలా ఎక్కువ
for X10 was going
గట్టిగా ఏమో నైట్ కాబట్టి చెప్పలేం
చాలా ఫ్యాన్ బేస్ ఉంది
నైట్ ఇండియన్స్ అంత ఏం చూడరు వేరే వాళ్ళు చూస్తారు కదా
are excelling right now is they're just mechanically
Streaming
better.
double stream.
Fnatic
actually
they're
favorite
throwing everything they've got at the Vikings, but
Tyson
the Vikings are an extremely talented team
Playing
when it comes to
YouTube.
their fragging ability.
ప్లేయింగ్ యూట్యూబ్
Absolutely.
Tyson.
పక్కన
I,
వస్తుంది
for
అది.
one, obviously we still have the rest of this map
ఆడంతే
to be played, but I for one, am very excited to see what's going to happen on set, just given, the history for X10 on that map. Vikings are going to take us there. I'm
వాళ్ళ
really
చేతులు ఉన్నాయి
looking
కొంటాడేమో
forward to
మళ్ళా
the course there, so maybe we'll get to see something a little bit different from them on that map. But for now, it's
Change
fairly
చేశా.
stock standard.
నిసార్లు వచ్చి వెళ్తున్నారు
Yeah,
If we
Ascent,
still
I think,
are in
is...
చూద్దాం
Yeah, Ascent is
Tyson
a
గారు
real
అనుకుంటా.
toss-up for me and
Tyson
Kilian.
Tyson.
నేను కాదు
Both teams have been very good, but there were some weaknesses
Never
that were shown
అయిపోతున్నాడు.
by the Sharks for the Vikings on Ascent. So I don't know. I'm really excited about that when we get to it. Of course, we aren't quite there yet. We saw a little bit of magic here, but no. Oh, okay.
నిన్న బూస్టర్ ఇప్పుడు ఈడు
He's showing us that the trick is done.
సంకల
No,
పెట్టుకునేది
the magic circle is going to kick him out. He's going to be banned.
అది హెయిర్ పెట్టుకోవడం కూడా
boy,
కామెడీగా ఉంది
Yeah,
He's
drop it on the
completely
floor.
exiled now. They're illusions, Michael.
టీంకి ఒక వ్యవస్థ ఉంటాడేమో
But I
అదేమంటారు
finished that quote.
కూడా తెలుసా ఈ
Yeah,
బూస్టర్
yeah,
గాడు ఎంత ఓవర్ యాక్షన్ చేస్తాడో
But this is probably
చాలా
the first
దీని
exposure
మ్యాచ్
for a lot
స్టార్ట్
of
అవ్వకముందు
people when it
వచ్చింది
comes to
చూసావా
X10 Putty Putty. This kid is just
సెంటినల్స్
he's off
ది
the
ఆన్ ది
rails.
ట్రైలర్
He's
లా
exactly like this in
మొత్తం
person.
ఎగురుతాడు
He
బాబాయ్
doesn't just play it up for the camera.
తెలుసు.
I had
ఎవరిది?
the pleasure of meeting him
Marvel.
ఏంటి
numerous
గొడవ
times,
పెట్టేసుకుంటున్నాడు
on the
ఆడితో
Overwatch scene, when he was competing on like Team Thailand and on Talon.
అక్కడ కూడా టెక్నికల్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ వస్తే ఆడేటోళ్ళకి ఇంకెంత రావాలి
He's always looking to
మౌస్
make you
పాయింట్
laugh with a
చూసావా
smile on your face. He's
లాజిటెక్
and also,
అందుకే
obviously,
నవ్వుతున్నాడు.
finding success here in Valorant with X10 being the top of their region. Maybe they can make a pretty good run here at Reykjavík would be really good boon for the entire Thai scene if they could do that.
Yeah, really. I mean, after what we saw from Crazy Raccoon, I think the gloves are off. I think that, showed a lot of the quote-unquote lesser regions that, you could come in here and you could compete with the top teams in the top regions. So I think that confidence has to have some of these other teams scared, like the Vikings right now. The X10 is giving them all they can handle on Icebox. And we'll see how this one comes out after the tech pause. But yeah, I mean, you can see that with Potty Pond with that, with that entrance he had. He's got a lot of flavor.
Oh yeah, he likes to spice it up a little bit from time to
Logic.
time.
అందరూ వైర్లెస్ వాడుతున్నారు మౌస్ కొన్ని
We gotta
మంది
get back into this so he can continue
అది
spicing
కూడా
this up.
లాజిటెక్
I want more spice. Absolutely. I mean, Thai food is typically pretty spicy, so I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I think in general, like in my experience with Thai players at other events,
వీడిని కొంచెం అయితే కొట్టేసేలా ఉన్నాడు పక్కన
very,
ఉన్నాడు
very
వాళ్ళకి అన్ని ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ వస్తే మనకెన్ని రావాలి
అదే
లాల్ మ్యాచ్ ఎండ్ చేస్తారు
ఎండ్ అయిపోయింది
It's not often that they
అవునా
can, put in a spot like
అవును
this. So, coming over
ఇప్పుడు
to
మళ్ళీ స్టార్ట్ చేసి అవే డబ్బులు
compete at the
ఉంచాలి
first
మొత్తం
international event
పిచ్చి
here.
పిచ్చి అవుతుంది చూడు ఇప్పుడు
It's just
అట్లా ఎట్లా
absolutely
చేంజ్ చేయొచ్చు
for the
చేంజ్
region.
చేయొచ్చు
So I imagine that
సర్వరే
there's
వాళ్ళది
an
కదా
immense amount of excitement that really just comes with that. So that's probably why we're seeing them being so
కొట్టేస్తాడు
exuberant on the
వస్తే
stage and just showing off their personalities even more so. So it's been a very solid beginning here.
How are you?
Back in. Oh, hello.
Hi. How are you?
I wasn't fully prepared for that, but it's okay.
Good to see you.
We're on camera. I know. We weren't on camera before. I was going to say, like, are we just not going to make it? Like, I got makeup on. I got spruced up. But it's fine. We can finally say hello face-to-face, sort of, to the audience.
And I can prove that I am, in fact, bald.
It's true.
As I mentioned.
It's true. You weren't just
Game ఆపడే ఇష్యూ అంతే కాపాడదు
దాంట్లో రావాలి సెంటినల్స్ ఆడియన్స్
rocking it. I know that the chat has just been going off about Saucy's baldness this entire time. So
what is it about bald people? I don't understand, man.
ఇంకేనా పెట్టు చూద్దాం.
Doctor from my backdrop.
Yeah, you did.
Hey,
I think actually we need to toss it to desk here, my friend.
Yeah, so it seems like we're gonna go to a quick little break while we get things
Scotland.
taken care of.
common technically
We'll come back and bring you the rest of the action when it's all ready.
All right. Well, thank you so much, fellas. Always a pleasure to hear you guys, cast. Also, fun fact, Achilles compared himself to Batman. That was just the thing he decided to do casually. We'll just go ahead and roll with it. Anyway, folks, Golden Boy here, back again with Potter, Doug, and Tombiz. As we could talk about that first half and a little bit of what we got into that game. And just before we do so, I do want to let everyone know a little bit of a longer technical pause. The reason why I'm standing here in my lair with all these LED screens right now. So we'll be here for right now. And then once the game's ready to go, I'll send it right back over to the casters and we'll get this bad boy rolling. That said, let's go ahead and talk about what ended up occurring in that game. And you know what, Tom, I'll go ahead and start with you. At the beginning of the game, I believe it was on round 3, I said, X10 is actually playing a lot better than I thought. You then proceeded to tell me, Golden Boy, it's just round 3. Please stop. But I still own my words because X10 is playing a lot better than we thought. So, I think Tom might be muted in Discord. Make sure. Do it. If he doesn't, he has to give me. He has to give 500 subs. We'll go ahead and Potter, let me just go to you. Let's get some reflections on this team, on X10's performance in that half. Actually, let's just talk about the setups there because there were a lot of A hits that were happening from Vikings, and you can start to see that X10 they were prepared for it more often than not.
They were. You're absolutely right, because multiple times we saw X10 actually having the man advantage, finding that opening pick somehow, some way, but eventually Vikings, they slowed the pace down. They were patient towards that 410 area, just waiting for these Viking X10 members to come sniffing, come try to retake, come try to find a location. They punished them. They were able to bounce back, but yeah, multiple times X10 were finding themselves in those man advantage scenarios.
Yeah, that's right. It just kept happening, and obviously more to break down as well. And Tom, I don't know if you got me yet. I could see you in the back of where I am, but just say something, say a nice word.
EU region lo
say how much you love
Radiant ke
Valorant. He can't right now, but he said he's a huge fan of Sentinels. Literally a Shazam stand.
అవును నాకు ఇప్పుడు డౌట్ ఈ హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ లో ఇప్పుడు ఇంకో మ్యాచ్ అవుద్ది ఆ హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ లో శానిటైజ్ చేసి కీబోర్డ్లు మౌస్లు అన్ని మార్చేస్తారు
వాళ్ళు తెచ్చుకుంటారు ప్రిఫరల్స్
we have to address
ఏంటి మానిటర్స్ సేమేనా మానిటర్స్ మార్చుకోరా
అది మార్చుకుంటారా
అందరికి సేమ్ మానిటర్లు ఇస్తారా బాబు లేకపోతే అడ్వాంటేజ్ ఉండదు
అదేగా ఓన్లీ ప్రిఫరల్స్ ఒక్కటే వాళ్ళు తెచ్చుకుంటారు ఆ 10Gకి అలవాటుగా 4-5 మాత్రం ఆడికి ఇవ్వనన్నా సరే ఆడేం చెప్తాను
ఒకటే వాడాలా
మొత్తం అంతా లేదంటే చేయకూడదు అదే చెప్తున్నా నాకు కావాలంటే నేను ఒకటి కొట్టేసుకోవాలి అని ఇంకా తప్పదు అనేది వాగుతున్నాడు ఏదో పెట్టాడు అడిది
specifically around Viper's pits, right? So there were 2 times that the Viper's pit was used right off the bat to lock down A, and they pushed it.
ఏదో జోగుపేట్ లాగే నిమిషానికి ఆడితే సెన్సిటివిటీ మార్చేదంటే ఇది మారుస్తాడు ఆడే ఎక్కువ సెన్సిటివ్ మార్చేది గేమ్ లో అదే జోగుపేట ఆడిని చూసి ఆడు ఎప్పటికప్పుడు సెన్సిటివిటీ మారుస్తూ ఉంటాడు టెన్షన్.
that kind of leave you scratching your head a little bit and kind of
అంతే
thinking about what the plan
ఒకటి
is
ఉంటే
going
అది
into
అలవాటు
this. So
అయిపోద్ది,
while
మళ్ళీ మంచిగా
X10
ఆడేస్తాం.
have impressed, Patapan has impressed. He looks really good. Again, he's playing loose and he's having a lot of fun doing it. You can tell even with the magic tricks, right? Like you're never supposed to show how those magic trick works.
Start అయిందా?
He's doing it. For Vikings, they're just making a couple of decisions that maybe kind of boil down to the fact
చాలా
that
మంది
they're playing a
స్ట్రీమర్స్
land
హైపర్ ఎక్స్
on the
వాడతారుగా.
stage first time. Some of those things that we've discussed leading into the show that can make a pretty notable impact on
ఏంటి
personality and
రిస్కీ
on kind
మ్యాన్
of as a team how you show your identity on the stage.
అదే ఏంటి అదేదో ఉంది మర్చిపోయినాను. వాలరెంట్ లో స్ట్రీమ్ కి ఏదో ఉంటది, ఇందాక చూసా మర్చిపోయాను. అంటే నీ ఫేస్ అవి వస్తాయి కదా, దాన్ని ఏమంటారు నాకు తెలీదు. ఏంటంటి కాదు, అంటే నువ్వు స్ట్రీమ్ చేసేటప్పుడు వస్తాయి కదా ఇలా పక్కన పేర్లు దిగ్ అవన్నీ. నాకు కూడా అర్థం కాలా, చెప్తాను
with a little bit of misdirection. You see Omen here so forward in his position, finding that ground, but he gets picked off, and this is X10.
ఫేస్ కాదు చెప్తాను పేరు.
Viper, Jet, Patapan,
కంటెంట్ క్రియేటర్స్ గేమ్ అది స్ట్రీమ్ ఓవర్లే.
Strange, a little bit of a mistake.
అది వాలరెంట్ ఉంది.
ఉండిద్ది, అది కొనాలి. స్టీమ్ ల్యాబ్స్ లో ప్రైమ్ అది కొంటే
అవసరం లేదు, దీంట్లో ఉంది. నేను పంపిస్తాను, ఆగు లింక్ జనరల్ లో పెడుతున్నా. అదే నాకు చూసాను.
Maybe Doug is onto something. The land jitters coming through, but small details, small mistakes.